Shall
Gadot.
I get... Why don't I meet you back at the office, and meanwhile I'll take this for safekeeping?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
You gotta put the sword down, Diana, please.
It doesn't go with the outfit.
At all. Put the sword down, first of all.
Promise me you will protect it with your life.
Yes. No.
You can trust her. Just hand that over.
Shield.
Hand the shield to
There
her.
we go. Whoa.
You got it? Thanks, Etta.
This is easy.
That was a clip from Wonder Woman, and I'm joined now by its star, Gal Gadot.
Hey, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you
Good.
for having me.
Good. Now, I thought we could start, for those listeners who aren't familiar with the DC cinematic universe, how would you say the Wonder Woman film fits into the big picture?
I think it fits perfectly because there's so many values that communicates with the DC universe values. And this character, you know, it's one of the trio, you know, with Batman and Superman, there's Wonder Woman. And finally, we get to tell her story.
And can you tell us a bit about that story? Because this actually takes place long before the previous film, right?
Right. We go back in time, and this is actually the origin story of Wonder Woman, and it basically deals on how Diana Prince, becoming Wonder Woman and for the first time owning her powers and actually learning and understanding about the mankind and the complexities of mankind.
I think it's fair to say that there is a lot generally perceived to be riding on this film. I mean, in one sense, there's the future of the DC Comics film franchise. And then in the other, there's the idea this is the first woman-led superhero film in 12 years. And if it's a big success, it could...
But no pressure, right?
Right, exactly. Which of those two pressures did you feel the most while you were making this?
Actually, none. The only pressure that I felt was that it was very, very important for me to perform in the best way that I can. I mean, so many people care so much for this character, and you do understand and you do feel the pressure. But at the end of the day, you know, my responsibility is being an actress and tell the story in the most interesting way. And that was the only thing that I was focused on while we were shooting.
So after you finished making the film, how would you know if you'd achieved that?
I think that, you know, for me as a person, I think that you can only do your best. And when you know that you gave everything that you can and everything that you have, then afterwards all I have to do is just wait and hope for the best. So far, it's been an amazing ride. I mean, shooting this movie was so special and such a unique experience, working with people whom I love and enjoy spending time with. And even through now when the reviews came out, and it's really, I feel nothing but grateful and thankful to the universe. So it feels really, really good. I just hope that, you know, I just can't wait for everyone to see the movie and feel the same way. And enjoy it.
I'm glad you mentioned the reviews, because it's often said of superhero films that they're made for fans rather than critics, yet Wonder Woman has had this really positive wave of first reviews. Why do you think that it has connected with critics in a way that other superhero films perhaps don't as much?
I don't want to be arrogant, and I certainly don't know better than anyone else, but I think that, you know, we were very brave in the sense of going back to classical movies like the very original Superman and going back to the naivete and leaving cynicism aside and just being genuine and being innocent in a way. And I think that it's just refreshing. Who would think that going back old school would be so refreshing? But it is, because it's just something that I guess all of us need. All of us need to just to leave the cynicism and to leave all the, I don't know, bitterness aside and just go back to simplicity and to simple values and to simple messages such as love and compassion and just enjoy them.
Can you tell me a bit about how you approached that with Patty Jenkins, the director? Because, you know, for me, Wonder Woman really reminded me of Christopher Reeve's take on Superman. But I think goodness can be something that's very hard to make compelling on screen. So was there a particular approach that you took to that?
We didn't even think about goodness. Yes, the original movie of Superman was always in the back of our heads. Patty loved it, and we even did a few homage for Superman. You can see the scene in the alley, and you can see the revolving doors. Now everyone has to go and see the movie to know what I'm talking about. But when I approach the character, for me it's very important that the audience can relate to her. And how can you relate to a character who's a goddess? None of us is a god. And Patty and I figured out that the best way to do it is just to show her imperfections. So she's not all perfect, and she's not all goody-goody. She's not goody, she can be the most powerful warrior, but at the same time she can be very vulnerable, and she can be very confident, but then she can be super confused. She's everything, just like we're everything. We're never just one color. We're all the different palette. And I think that that's the beauty of Wonder Woman. She's everything, and she has such a good agenda, and she just wants to help, and she's very warm and loving and full of compassion. So there's nothing not to love about this character. That's why I love her so much.
How much of this working out with Patty had you done before you shot the scenes that you had in Batman versus Superman? Because, I mean, how much even did you know at all about the standalone film at that point?
None.
Okay. So what did you think worked in the way, because the fan reaction to your appearance in Batman versus Superman seemed to be really positive, like people wanted to see more of this character from that. So did you feel you'd hit any particular notes in your scenes in that film that you really wanted to expand on in the standalone one?
I think that what people really enjoyed was the smirk that I had when I was fighting Doomsday. And I think that it just showed that Wonder Woman can be cheeky as well, and she's not all super serious. She actually enjoys the adrenaline, and she actually enjoys the fight. I think that also, I can't take all the credit to myself, but I think that people really had been waiting for so long for this character, and once they saw her coming to life on the big screen, they were really, really excited, and I'm just a lucky girl who got to be the one.
I think, as you mentioned, there is this real audience appetite for this story.
Yes.
After you did the appearance in Batman versus Superman, did you meet any fans at conventions or events that particularly stuck out in your mind, and you thought, okay, so this is the person that I'm making the Wonder Woman film for?
Mostly it happens to me when I meet children, that they're so excited about that. And I met a boy that was dressed with Wonder Woman costume, and he was so excited, and he gave me a drawing of Wonder Woman that he made. And
can you remember how old this boy was?
He was probably 7, I'm guessing.
Cute.
I didn't ask, but he was so sweet and so exciting and so loving. And that's such an amazing thing about this character, is that she's universal. Because everyone are talking about Wonder Woman, being for women only. It's such a universal character with a universal message, and it's the same way that I grew up and I was watching Superman, and Superman is for everyone as well. All of these characters are for everyone. But it's great that as much as, all of us had Superman and Batman and Spider-Man and all of these male characters to look up to when we were growing up, finally we have a female one as well, and I think it's an important thing.
I want to ask you a little bit about growing up, actually, because you've had an incredibly strangely shaped career in that you went from being, I may have the order wrong here, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but law student to army combat trainer to model to actress.
Model to army to law school to acting.
Okay, so it was the right 4 things, but in the wrong order, right. Which of those transitions was the easiest one to make, and which was the strangest or the most difficult?
That's an interesting question. I never thought of it. I think that I never planned on being an actress, obviously. It kind of happened to me, and one thing led to the other, and one audition led to the other, and here I am, and I fell in love with the profession. Growing up, I was a dancer. I danced for 12 years, and I always enjoyed, the attention, and I always loved to perform. And I think that becoming an actress, even though it wasn't in my agenda.
And then when you started auditioning for films, it was always, it seemed to be anyway, always blockbusters that you were aiming for. Like you auditioned for...
I didn't aim for anything. Honestly, the way it went down is that a casting director actually from London flew into Israel, and she was looking for the Bond girl.
And this was for Quantum of Solace, is that right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And then she saw my card in my agency board, in my modeling agency board, and she wanted to see me. And so I went and I did the audition. I didn't get the part, but she wanted to see me for Fast and Furious. But I never planned on, and Fast and Furious was my first feature ever. So I got really lucky in that way, that it started big from the very first get-go.
I often wonder if perhaps films like Fast and the Furious, where you see, I mean, even though it's a big ensemble cast, you see women in an action context, or like the Hunger Games films as well, if perhaps those films paved the way for Wonder Woman to happen. I mean, do you think the Fast and the Furious films, if there is anything kind of, they have a social or political significance, or do they just sort of exist as, just for fun?
Honestly, I don't know. I think that Hunger Games definitely did that. The protagonist was a female. In Fast and Furious, I loved working on Fast and Furious, but the protagonists, they're always men. The women are, they have a good role there, and they're not the damsel in distress most of the time, but mostly it's men who drives the story. Hunger Games definitely did that when they had Jennifer to be the protagonist. But honestly, I don't know. I think it's like we're in this process of the industry, I guess, that only now it starts to be confident in putting women in strong, badass roles.
I think particularly when you look at an actress like Jennifer Lawrence, the amount of disproportionate pressure and scrutiny that she's come under in her career choices compared to a male actor of her age and profile is tremendous. Also, the amount of things that are written about her, even abuse online or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, did you sort of think twice when accepting this role, this is
No,
going to...
Not at all.
Put me, make me a target in some way?
Not at all. And I was scrutinizing for a little bit before the Batman versus Superman was out. I was being critiqued about the size of my breasts or my bottom, which I think is irrelevant for the the role. Right. But no, I never had second thoughts, and I was never worried. I was very, very happy when I landed this role.
Well, look, as someone who really enjoyed the film, I'm very, very glad you didn't have any second thoughts. Gal Gadot, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so very much.